And now you've said that to some extent this is a wedge issue that's being played upon for politics.
Right.
Is there also an undertone of interfaith conflict here? And if so, how do we confront that in a productive way?
There's definitely an undertone of interfaith conflict, but again, okay, so this is a whole field on interfaith analysis of interfaith conflict. That's what I've spent my last 3 decades on, and in a nutshell, the results are rather surprising, because what looks like interfaith conflict, not only today, but throughout history, is often really other conflicts. Political conflicts, wedge issues between power groups, ethnic conflicts, going all the way back thousands of years. The Crusades look like it's a religious conflict, but the Crusaders killed Christians just as much as they killed Muslims. I mean, there's a lot of craziness once you analyze the details, if you want to stick to the fact that this is actually a religious conflict. That having been said, when you have a wedge issue and you're intending to regain Congress or regain the White House, you want to exercise, you want to stimulate the most fundamentalist people in the country, or the most extreme Christians in the country, to do crazy things. So you want there to be a church somewhere in Florida that takes upon itself to burn the Quran on September 11th. That's a good wedge issue. You're going to get the Christian vote out in a certain sense. And you don't want the Christian vote that votes for Obama. You want the Christian vote that hates Obama. So, these are opportunities of politics. This is the kind of thing that tore apart Iraq. This is the kind of thing that tears apart Pakistan. This is very common of how militancy and the thirst and lust for power of men with guns, this is how they gain power. In this country, we don't have, fortunately, armies going up against each other on this, but we have virtual armies in politics. And that's the context.
So how do we confront how do we confront that type of political thinking in a way that is actually productive? Some people, I think, feel very frustrated going up against people that think Obama's a Muslim, that think he's not an American citizen, just thinking there's no way we can confront them productively. Right. How do we?
Well, I think progressives and liberals and even mainstream Christians, Jews, and Muslims are kind of they're disempowered and aghast and stunned by this level of irrationality. They don't know how to respond to it. In a lot of ways they do respond to it tend to be pretty ineffectual. They make statements. They sign things. I immediately get, they want my signature. It's like, is that going to do something? Well, I do it anyways. I make my signature, I put it in there, and we have the statements. They are important because in the end of the day, all of these behaviors, these violent or hateful things, are kind of neo-fascism. They're McCarthyism. They bubble up all the time in societies. But the interesting thing about McCarthyistic moments, witch hunts, neo-fascist behavior, is that they look very, very strong for a short time. And then they kind of burn themselves out. But they only burn themselves out if the center holds, if the center stays steady. And then they start looking at themselves and they're a little embarrassed. So all summer long, you have all of these think tanks and these neoconservative places saying all these terrible things about Imam Rauf. And then 9/11, we're going to have all these pictures of burning the Quran. Maybe we'll start having Bibles being burnt in Pakistan. And people are going to start doing some soul searching, saying, what did we do? And that happens also in McCarthyistic. It's a kind of evolution of McCarthyism, that it leads to a lot of self-doubt as it plays itself out into absurdity, into cruelty. So part of it is that you have to just hold the center, make all of your statements, your testimonies, your petitions, and all of that. But I do believe that there's a step beyond that. And that's what Gandhi and King and the great nonviolent social change advocates understood. And that is that you fight fire with fire. If somebody's going to burn the Quran on 9/11, then you want to be doing something very visual on 9/11 between Jews, Muslims, and Christians.
Okay.
You want to be.
When you say
You want
fight
to.
fire with fire. You don't mean like burn a Bible because they're burning a Quran, do you?
I'm talking about fighting fire with fire from a nonviolent point of view.
Right.
So, and the fire is not violence. The fire is visuals. The fire is symbols and the appeal to emotion. These are all things that are very difficult for intellectuals and left-wing people, but they're very, very important.
Why are they difficult for left-wing people?
Because they like to think that they're rational, but nobody's rational. Rationality is something we aspire to and we occasionally reach, but it's not something that anybody lives by day and night. We're all non-rational. We're all driven by symbols. We just have different symbols. You know, when I see a beautiful old academic campus, I start to drool a little. You know, I'm very attached to Ivy League universities. I'm very attached to books. When I see a big library, I go numb a little. I want to be there. Why? You know, because that I'm attached to it. Just like other people are attached to Britney Spears. Okay, so this is who we are. This is who academics are. And to deny those emotions this is a big part of my work and my writings. Denying emotions is very dangerous because then you leave emotions to extremists. And that's a very bad idea. We're all driven by emotions, and it's important to exercise the positive emotions, the emotions of trust, the emotions of hope, the emotions of inspiration. You can't, you need a John Kennedy, and you need a Bobby Kennedy, and you need a Ted Kennedy to counteract a Joe McCarthy. You need somebody inspiring, somebody who has a vision of an America that you can believe in, not just some sort of rational tract.